Rasty McGibbon with Director of Hockey Operations for the ACHA, David Kurtz.
How you doing, Rasty?
Good, Dave. Dave and I go back a long, long way.
How long?
I mean, at least 15 or 20 minutes, I'd say. I mean, it's a long time. Probably more than 20 years. I guess first, your general thoughts on the tournament this year.
Well, I think it's exciting. Obviously, it was daunting, even when you and I had been here several years ago just doing an M2 tournament, and it seemed daunting with that, with everything going on. But to have 8 sheets going for 2 days and having 78 teams here, I mean, there was a lot of worry, there was a lot of concern. Not that it couldn't happen, but that would when the rubber meet the road, would it actually really come off without a glitch? And like anything else, there's some things that they're behind the scenes, we'd love to do better, but overall it seems like it's a great environment. It's great having everyone together, both ACHA staff and fans and teams, and you see a lot of people milling around, going to different games during intermissions, and that's what you wanted. We wanted a chance to basically make it feel like the ACHA as an entire family was together.
And I think really, for the first time last year, with having 3 sheets together and a very big common area, we really kind of got the feeling of that, right?
Yeah.
Here, even a bigger common area. Talk about I can't even start to imagine. How do you plan to have 8 sheets going at a time?
Well, it takes a lot of people behind the scenes, obviously. There's a lot of people with titles under their names that kind of get the recognition, but to be honest, it's the volunteers. It's the volunteers at the rink. It's the volunteers that have been working with us in the ACHA, friends, family of the commissioners that come in and they help out. But that's really what it is, because you think every rink probably has at least 6 to 8 people, whether it's from the facility or from the ACHA, that take just to do the game. Make it, the stats, the scorekeeping, all that kind of stuff, and then you multiply it by 8 times 4 games every day, because a lot of people can't do 4 games. They've got obligations, they got jobs, things like that. So it's just a massive amount of people, and you call upon them and you try to make it worth their while in terms of an experience. But you find good people and you make them feel worthwhile, and that's how you keep them. And we've been lucky that we really found a lot of people. That's how we got hooked.
Your previous position with the ACHA was Commissioner of Men's Division II, partner with John Eccles, and then you made the transition to Director of Hockey Operations. How big a jump is that, and what does your job entail now that you didn't, I guess, before?
Yeah, well, obviously, I'm working with all 5 divisions now, so it's like a lot of the stuff that you see times 5. But I think the biggest thing is a lot of times I spend a lot of time trying to be supporting the commissioners, trying to make sure they have what they need, try to give them advice and support on as they're dealing with questions, being a sounding board and things like that. I work a lot with the executive director, Craig Barnett, on a lot of ideas and things that we're doing on national level, trying to make sure things happen, ideas, dealing with, I do a lot of discipline. It's not my favorite thing to do, but I do deal with it as supplemental discipline. We're trying to make sure that people both get, that if there's something that happens, that we rectify it, but also that the people that we're possibly suspending for a while get their day, not day in court, but that they get represented as well. I have a great assistant director, I think you talked to, Brandon Russ.
He's coming on later.
He's coming on later, but I've known Brandon for years and years, and I gave him some opportunity. He started working, just doing moving pucks and stuff, and he's great. He does a lot of stuff, but again, so that's that's what I do, but a lot working with the website, making sure that we, get stuff like the awards and updates on players and stuff like that out there, trying to build the media presence, but, and someone working with the board and looking forward to things that we're trying to do for next year.
So when you talk about things that you're trying to do for next year, what are some of the changes that are prospective going forward?
Well, I'm just like everything else in the world. There was a pretty hardcore reset after COVID. It was almost like we as a lot of businesses, a lot of people had to almost kind of go back into what could we do and still make happen, like nationals, like we had the 4
Right.
nationals the year past. But it was like anything else was kind of out of the realm. We had to make sure we were viable financially and everything like that. So, but now we're coming back. Some of the things that we're trying to do. Where I've been talking to a couple places about bringing back some showcases. What I would like to do is not just make it say it's an M1 showcase or a W2 showcase, but to actually say, okay, we're going to have almost like a little bit of what we're seeing here, but having a cross-divisional thing. So there might be an M1 W1, and try to get a couple of the same programs. So you have like a Maryville, you have an Adrian, you have places like that. Maybe say, hey, would you be willing to send your M1 and your W1 team to play in a weekend?
Gotcha.
And so it may not, and start that up to kind of create some, excitement and people coming. We talked about bringing back the All-Star Challenges, which were huge hits for people, because it was something that they got to do every other year.
Right.
And it was, it was a great fun. It was a lot of fun to have. And I think that's part of it, is giving opportunities to our student athletes to play hockey as much as they can, but have great experiences too.
So the most recent time that any ACHA team traveled outside of the country was 2019. How much of a challenge has it been to revive that, and then COVID, international travel, all that kind of lumped into one?
Well, I think it's been, I still don't think we're completely even there as you looking around it. I know that we've started to see it come back. Obviously, we have the World Cup of Hockey this year. We have things, but we have a great relationship with a lot of people over there in the EUHL. And I think that I really believe that the select team, at least at the M2 level, will return. I know that it's a stepping process with travel, but I think it was an experience that I think grew our brand, but also gave opportunities more than just the players that went, but by them going over and showing they had the talent to play high levels of hockey. I think it gave places, teams over in Europe, the willingness to look at ACHA players, not just M1 players, but M2 players, M3 players. There's a lot of talent that comes through the various divisions that they could play at a semi-pro professional level and give them a chance. And that's what we want. For our players, is to play as long as they possibly can, and they get a great representation for the ACHA when we say, hey, we have X number of players who go to play professionally somewhere, whether it's in America or across the world.
Just speak very briefly to the opportunity that the ACHA provides. In conversations this week, a lot of Canadian players have basically said, hey, I never had any idea that after high school I'd have the opportunity to play. And some have even said, I had not really even considered pursuing education post-high school, but hockey has allowed me to accomplish 2 things at one time. Give me your thoughts on that.
Well, I think that's what probably the ACHA does better than anything else, is that, you get to go, and you get to go to a school. And, for those of us that have had college time, if we love the place that we've gone to, we become invested in it, and we want to represent it well. And so if these players are able to come from wherever and are able to be, and you're able to go to your school, you're able to get a great education, you're able to build memories, and you get to play the sport you love with the name of the school on your front, and build those relationships as well that you had all through growing up with hockey. That's the greatest of all things. Would everybody love to have a full ride scholarship to Boston College? Sure. Or play in a major junior. But we all know that in any sport, it's such a small percentage, but here you have not just playing men's league level hockey, you have high level hockey that's being played. It's such a great opportunity for these guys, and they look back and they say, well, I could have been done in high school, or I could have been playing at 10 p.m. at the local rink, or I can come here, I can play and get it. It's just going to help me long term, and I get to do what I love, which is play hockey. So.
I think that, as you said, COVID was definitely kind of like having to drive through a snowbank. I really feel like we have emerged, refocused. What other perspective do you think COVID has given us?
I I think it taught us how good we had it. Like, purely from an ACHA hockey, how I think was that, like, how much when you didn't have it. When I got that call saying that the Nationals were canceled, I mean, that's a gut punch. And I just was going to work it.
Right.
I couldn't imagine being a team like that fought, paid, fundraised all throughout their year, and they got new teams and stuff like that. They got a chance, and then it was just ripped away from them.
Yeah.
So I think I think for a lot of it, I think a lot of teams, they got back. Like, I think they refocused on, all right, so we get to kind of reset a little bit. What do we want to be as a program? And we see a lot of new teams here at Nationals, a lot of new teams at regionals and other things like that, who came out of COVID, like, kind of saying, look, we realize now what it's like to not have the ability to play.
Yeah.
That we're going to take every advantage of it. So we're going to not dog it at the practices. We're going to take it seriously. And I think it's raised the level of hockey across the ACHA.
If you were to mention two things that you would love to accomplish over the next 5 years, what would those two things be?
I'd like to grow the women's side even more. We have great women's teams. We have great women's commissioners. I think there's room to grow. Like, there's geographical holes both in W1 and W2 that are not being serviced, and they're not the same ones either. There's gapping, and I think that I would love to be able to see us as an organization help shrink some of those geographical holes, put more teams in more places, so that more, because women's hockey is growing all over the country, and I think we can jump on that. The other thing is, I think I'd like to see us provide more international opportunities for more players, whether it's getting opportunities to bring over, maybe bringing over some European teams or stuff like that, so that they can play on tours here and get a chance, because obviously a select team's going to go, but if we're able to bring a European team over here, they can play a bunch of teams, and more people get to have that. So I'd love for us to be able to do those two things over the next couple of years. And we are. I mean, especially with the women's side, we're already having a conversation in Naples about trying to help. What do we want to do 5 years from now? How do we want women's divisions to look?
Yeah.
So.
No, I thought I saw someone shaking their head in agreement. That's why. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, David Kurtz, Director of Hockey Operations. We go back a long time.
Yeah, man.
Thanks so much for your time. Thank you.
Thanks, Rest.